if it takes forever, I will wait for you for 1,000 summers. I will wait for you till you're back beside me, till I'm holding you, till I hear you sigh here in my arms. Anywhere you wander, anywhere you go, every day remember how I love you so. In your heart, believe what's in my heart. I know that forevermore I'll wait for you.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top, I wanna ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. It continues along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar.
Now? Picking it up now? Yes, okay. Good morning, good morning. Hello, my beauties and bees. Thank you again for joining me for another installment of Live from the Hive. So happy that that we could all be here again today. I know things have been kind of wonky lately with the release schedule and stuff, so I appreciate everybody kind of sticking with me on this and just giving me, and I'm just adjusting my stuff from transposition audio. Audio should be better now. Good morning, my beauties and bees. I hope everybody is doing well too. Things have kind of been all over the place around here still. I'm dealing with, like, I've kind of lost the fire for doing this show, honestly, which is just terrible. I don't think it's. I hope it's not like legit. I hope it's just, switching meds, and when you switch meds, sometimes you have that lull, that emotional lull where just like nothing, everything just seems kind of blah. So I'm hoping that's just what's going on, but I'm starting to feel like. I don't know, some of you all will go way, way back with me to your Daily Atheist show. But Chris used to run into this show called The Daily Atheist on Saturday, or not Saturday mornings, but on every morning of the week, right? Every morning, I would get up and listen to it on the way to work, listen to it, and participate. and everything in the mornings before my day started. It was like a ritual. Chris Mallard was the guy's name. And I went on the show. Everybody in the community went on the show. He would do guests. He would have cover topics. It was a little atheist news channel. It's called The Daily Atheist. He'd go from I think he just went for like 2 hours, but it was a good time. And then he started to say, I'm getting burned out on this. I don't think I want to do it anymore. It's kind of just blah. I'm gonna fold it in. And at the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, Chris, your show is like awesome. He's like, I say that you say that. I love everybody who participates. I love doing it, but I've been doing this for, I think he had been doing it for 2 years at the time. And I got it's the same 18 people. There's no growth. It's kind of, and I'm not doing this for growth or channel growth or anything. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going to stop doing this show. I'm just saying I didn't understand what he was talking about when he was going into his burnout about kind of hitting the ceiling on growth for what he was doing. And I feel like maybe I've hit the ceiling on growth. I hope not. There's always and my channel does continue to grow, it creeps in inch by inch, but it's not growing big. When I hit 1K, when did I hit 1K? Was that in January? Anyway, I'm like, but right now I got, I got 1,157, which is pretty good. It's a nice stable. If I had to do a daily show, it would not be 3 hours. I don't know how he pulled that off. He did a daily show. I do a weekly show. Matter of fact, I started doing my show weekly on Saturday because it was the day that he wanted to start taking off. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do a show on Saturday, so you can take Saturday off. So I was trying to keep the guy around, keep the community going. Yeah, I know. I see Chris still doing stuff. He had some political takes that I didn't necessarily agree with, and they off-put a lot of people. So that was probably a contributing factor too. Of course, I have political takes that probably off-put a bunch of people too. I'm pretty more and more. I'm been more openly communist, and people don't. Some people don't grok with that real well, but I don't. I don't care. I got to be me. Been actually arguing with idiot libertarian people on Twitter for the last 2 days, and that's probably colored my mood too a little bit about being. But they're just. It's like you deal with the most uninformed, but arrogant people. And I'm not saying all libertarians are like that, but a lot of them are. That is like they don't know things, and they are they're staunchly wanting to remain in their ignorance about it. They like anything, any kind of socialized systems. They want to live in a vacuum where they don't exist outside the U.S. Like if you want to propose a universal healthcare system or a universal education system, they think you have to build it from the ground up. That there's not like already. Indy Hall laughing in disbelief was the same. It didn't last quite as long though. There was what was it laughing in disbelief? It was the Grumpy Cat morning show. My show's been going a lot longer than either of those two shows went on, though. I think I've exceeded the Daily Atheist in I don't know if Andy changed the name of his show halfway, but yeah, I've outlived them. But again, mine's only a weekly show too, so that makes quite a bit of difference. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I posted something about student loan and about universal education, about socialized education, and people are it blew up. It kind of blew up on Twitter. So I got a whole bunch. Some libertarian politician from Missouri retweeted me. It's been a show. But yeah, that's kind of tainted my mood too. But they're just so. I don't want to say every one of them's dumb, but they're the ones that I'm interacting with are exceedingly dumb. Like they can't fathom outside of America. Now, the reason I bring this up is because one of them said, I guess they looked at my profile and they're like, my profile says cryptozoologist because I am a cryptozoologist, right? You know, I'm probably, I don't want to brag. I don't want to be like, ooh, I'm just the greatest ever. I am probably the best cryptozoologist on the internet, I would say. If I had to speculate, I would say most other cryptozoologists are like woo-woo people that believe in all kinds of nonsense. I am not. I am a cryptozoologist who thinks most of this stuff is nonsense and is willing to turn those rocks over to prove it. So it's really weird when people say, oh, look, the person who believes in Bigfoot stuff. I'm a cryptozoologist who doesn't believe in Bigfoot. I don't. The cryptids the only cryptids that I believe in potentially are things like the thylacine, right? Like I think, oh, if the thylacine was still around, or if there was any cryptid that was still around, it'd be the thylacine. It's been extinct fairly recently. The sightings are fairly consistent. Just things like that, right? So I think that if there was something that was still, if there was a cryptid that turned out to be real, or really exist, to be the thylacine. Also, there's a whole clade of beaked whales, more than one species, right? That are totally they live in very small, isolated populations. That spend a lot of their time deep down in the water hunting and don't interact with people a lot, of beaked whales that I think we're probably going to find more of them, more species, and we're going to take the species that we have existing and divide them up and stuff. But and people are going to say that, well, that's not cryptozoology. It really is. I'm the study of unknown animals. I'm studying them. I just don't believe in them. So yes, I'm a cryptozoologist. I'm actually a honest cryptozoologist and not a cryptozoologist who believes nonsense. So I think that it's like kind of a term that we need to take back because the debunkers are cryptozoologists too. Anyway. Speaking of cryptozoology, let's move over into Cryptic Corner because I got some thoughts. And I like owls. See you over there. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal, and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. And I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and happy to bring you some more fun cryptozoology today. Because today we do have a cryptid on the docket. And it's probably one that you're vaguely familiar with, but you've never really explored. This is kind of how I am about it. It's like a Mothman light kind of a situation. What I'm talking about today is is a cryptid. Is mostly from Cornwall, but there's other versions of it from other places too. Why does this say British falconry? Is that really what it's going to show? Here we go. All right, so we're looking at the Owl Man, right? Now, the Owl Man is the sightings are sort of along the lines of a Mothman-like sighting. But the cool thing about the Owl Man is that there was this movie made in the, I think it was the early 2000s, called The Lord of Tears, that had a really cool Owlman suit, and they used it to do a bunch of pranks after they made the movie. Let me actually, I bet we can watch the trailer for it, as a matter of fact. I bet we can. It was, you can watch the full movie, actually. You can watch Lord of Tears from start to finish right here. Who would have thought? But they do different pranks and stuff with it, but let's watch the trailer real quick. Is that Haxon? Did I say Haxon Films? Oh no, Hex Films. Haxon Films was who made Blair Witch. That music's probably copyrighted. Maybe not though. Ooh, I'm gonna sing over the music just so it doesn't, it doesn't make a copyright claim. Bree's gonna sing over the music. Gonna sing, sing, sing. Oh no, what is that? What is that? Oh no, it's the Owl Man. Is it the Owl Man? This is the Owl Man. The Owl Man. No. So it's like a, yeah, British film. I guess it's probably like the British version, the Blair Witch, maybe. Huh? And just keep talking over the music so that it doesn't register. The Owl Man lives. Huh? Lives the Owl Man. Owl Man. Yeah, so you can like tell the era this is from the graphics and stuff that they're using. This was like 2011 or so, I think it said. Yeah, anyway, 2013. So yeah. Anyway, but we're gonna watch about the Owl Man.
Two young sisters walk down a quiet, overgrown lane,
All right.
talking and laughing to one another, enjoying their holiday in the countryside. The sky is red and darkening as the summer sun begins to set. Suddenly, the birds stop singing, and an eerie quiet falls over the woods. One of them gasps in horror as they look up to the tower of the old weathered church that stands before them. There, hovering with terribly long wings outstretched, is neither man nor bird, but a grotesque hybrid.
You can do both those things, Sumami. You can rant about intersectional issues while playing video games.
Of the two, staring at them with glowing red eyes and a huge gaping black mouth. Their screams pierce the silence as the being flaps its great wings. The two turn and sprint with all their might back down towards the town. Sobbing and out of breath, they reach their parents, and whilst the shaking girls are clasped tightly in their mother and father's arms, the hoot...
Ooh, you're seeing new birds, huh? Actually, we have been getting a lot of new critters around this area lately. We got armadillos too.
hoot of an owl rings out in the distance. The story of the Owlman of Mornon first came to public attention when Tony Shields, an artist, magician, and writer, said that he had spoken to these two young sisters.
Like, I just want to take a moment here to, like, they're trying to make them scary and stuff, but owls are just freaking adorable to me. I mean, I know not everybody has the same opinions about what animals are cute, and I have probably less in common with a lot of people as far as what I think is cute, but I think a general number of people find owls adorable, so it's kind of crazy that people try to present them as something scary.
June and Vicky Melling had encountered the owlman in Mornon on the evening of April.
My coffee just arrived. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let this play while I'm running to get it.
17th, 1976. As the story goes, the two girls were on holiday there, and they went for a walk to the church that lies out of the way on an old remote road. The church sits on the coast and is surrounded by woods, a ways out of the village. It was there that they saw the terrible creature staring at them and hovering over the church tower. When they ran back to their parents in the village.
Oh, you do not show a picture like this and say, terrible creature, what are you doing? It's so cute. I want to die, it's so cute. What a terrible creature.
They were terrified, describing that they had seen a feathered birdman, one even describing the creature as an owlman or birdman. The girls were so scared by this experience.
If I had to speculate, I'd say they saw an eagle owl that was nesting up in the tower, or attempting to nest up in the tower, or maybe even a young eagle owl that was getting its flight feathers and hadn't quite left the nest yet. Because you see baby owls, they look pretty creepy. Oh.
That their father decided to cut their holiday short, and they soon returned home, as the girls were traumatized by the incident. 3 months later, two girls were camping in the same woods. Barbara Perry and Sally Chapman, both 14 at the time, told that in the night...
I gotta show you guys, because we can't not look at this. Every time that this comes up, we gotta look at it. So here, check them out. In all their strangeness. Like, it looks like little aliens just standing up in your alley, or in your attic. Just, yeah, owls are bizarre looking creatures. There's, there was a longer one, but I like these ones where they're like, boop, 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 boop. But they're cute. Who thinks that owls are scary? It's so weird. I guess this is kind of scary. That's kind of freaky and uncanny. Let's go back.
They had both just left the tent when they heard a terrible hissing sound behind them. They turned to see the terrible creature that Sally described as, it was like a big owl with pointed ears, as big as a man with red and glowing eyes. It was almost like something out of a horror film. She even claimed that they had both laughed at it initially, for she thought that it was someone in costume for a few moments, until it flew up into the air and they both screamed, which was when they both saw its feet, that she described were like pincers. Barbara
Well, I mean,
also described...
that's probably how a good way to describe owl feet, really. They have that, what's the foot arrangement for an owl called? Zytodactyl? Owl foot arrangement. It is called anisodactyly. So it's, no, it says, okay. The arrangement of an owl's feet is called zygodactyly, which means that 2 of the toes face forward and 2 face backwards. So they have 2, it's basically boxed. Parrots have feet like that too. Really convenient for moving like around in the branches, because that's what owls, generally owls sit and they prey on mostly on very small stuff, stuff that they can take back up to the branches, and then they have really powerful feet for holding on to it. But let's see, footing. Owls have unique feet, so it's a unique type of zygodactyly called an ensiodactyl arrangement. Okay, that makes more sense. So zygodactyly just means that you have toes that point backwards. Yeah, you don't want to mess with no shoe bill. Don't mess with them shoe bills. They will wreck you. Oh, yeah.
described the creature. It had a horrible, nasty owl face, with big ears.
Why is owls horrible and nasty? They're so cute. Just be nice.
And big red eyes, covered in greyish feathers, with black claws for feet. The creature flew up into the trees, and we didn't see it again. But we heard it scurrying about in the treetops, cracking branches. After this had happened, the girls had hesitantly contacted Tony Shields with their story, as by now most were aware of his involvement with documenting the Melling sisters' encounter in April. Because of this, their credibility is questioned, and many thought that they had made it up, even their own parents, even Shields himself. However, he did have all of the witnesses draw images of what they had seen.
It's all going to be owls, right? I mean, it's just owls. This doesn't... Nothing they've described so far doesn't sound like something like someone seen an owl and exaggerating what it looked like. You want owl feet? I don't know, native atheists. They have an owl feet. Yeah, unless you were like living in the trees, on the ground. I don't think owl feet are the best. But then again, so somebody's in here telling me roadrunners have zygodactyl feet, which I did not know. Makes sense. They'd have at least one toe pointed backwards, just because of their lineage. But for cursorial locomotion, zygodactyly is not the best.
But you can see here now. The Melling sisters in April, and the 2 girls camping in July, all produced eerily similar pictures. Barbara Perry and Sally Chapman were even
Hold on. I want to look at this picture.
Barbara Perry
No.
all produced eerily.
Okay. Let's look at these pictures. Okay, so this one, Birdman, based on sketches. Are these sketches, or are they based on the sketches? Because it's getting mixed messages here. Yeah, I don't know how any of these could be interpreted as... I guess they literally mean like crab pincers for feet, like just with like 2. I mean, I guess.
Similar pictures.
Later, John.
Barbara Perry and Sally Chapman were even separated so that they would not influence one another when drawing their sketches of the creature. One thing that I find unnerving.
Why do they find these? Why could anybody be disturbed by this adorable little boopable face? He spins around like that. I want to go boop. Boop. These little owl eyes, those gorgeous amber eyes.
Is that the sketches show that the creature doesn't have a beak like an owl would, but instead a large gaping black mouth.
Did it?
Under her drawing, Sally made a note that said, "I saw this monster bird last night. It stood like a man, then it flew up through the trees. It is as big as a man. Its eyes are red and shine brightly."
So, let's see, we're at 606. I just want to go back to the drawing, because I don't think that they look like that. That looks like a beak to me. That one does, definitely, in my opinion. Now, these two, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Here we go.
4th of July, 1976. Similarly, under her drawing, Barbara also wrote, "Birdman monster, seen on the 3rd of July, quite late at night, but not quite dark. Red eyes, black mouth. It was very big, with great big wings and black claws. Feathers, grey. Signed B. Perry, 4th of July, 1976. Interestingly, in all the...
So I just want to make it clear too that we know that, I know that they're saying it just had a black mouth, but eagle owls have a black beak. Here, let me keep stopping for intervention, but here's, these are eagle owls, right? This is the Eurasian eagle owl. And this is their threat pose. This is what they do when they feel like someone's messing with them. And they will also shriek and hiss. It's to intimidate, obviously. And as you can see, the idea of an owl man could easily be spun from seeing one of these creatures, especially with in low light conditions, perched on a stump or somewhere mid-height in a tree where it looks like it was a man height. Because eagle owls, like, though they're big, they're not like 5 foot tall or anything. They're big birds, but they're not like literally man size. There aren't any birds of prey that are man size. Not anymore. There were. Talk about that in a second too.
encounters, the creature is described as standing like a man on the ground, and not perched as a normal large owl would have been, on a branch or a log. Tony Shields' credibility is questioned by many. However, there have been a number of other sightings of the Owlman, not documented by him. A local story tells that a group of 3 young French women who were studying nearby at Cornwall College had told their landlady that they had seen a similar creature on the evening of August 2nd, 2 years after the initial event, in 1978. However, they refused to come forward with the story and remain to this day anonymous. In 1995...
Well, I mean, it's hard to account for that if they're anonymous, right? And they just say they saw a similar creature. We don't know the nature of their sighting, so when they describe what they saw, it may very well be just describing an owl, which so far has been... I haven't heard anything other than this, than saying it's bigger than a regular owl and that it was standing on the ground instead of in the tree. That's the only un-owl-like things that I've heard so far.
20 years later, Western Morning News was contacted by an American tourist who claimed to have seen a creature that she described as it had a ghastly face, a wide mouth, glowing eyes, pointed ears, and clawed wings. There have been a number
Clawed
of other
wings.
owlman sightings in the nearby areas.
There's a new addition, clawed wings. We didn't hear that before. So now we have clawed wings. The clawed wings, see, are on 814. So back into the drawings. I think they did have some like fingertips or something, didn't they? This one had some fingertips. There's the one with all three of the drawings together. This one does not have fingertips. I mean, unless you call these these fringes on the end of the wings fingertips, but this one's kind of the same condition.
Nearby areas. However, many refuse to come forward publicly with their stories for fear of scrutiny or mockery. Some 50 years earlier, there are reports of...
And that's always the thing too. It's like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who've seen it and know it's real and have witnessed it and believe us. They just don't want to come forward. There's just always a mysterious, unnamed support group that is behind all these claims. It's so funny.
In a newspaper of a strange story. The Cornish Echo reported on the 4th of June 1926. A story in which two young boys had been chased by a huge ferocious bird, only escaping by running away and hiding behind a large steel grating. The article was titled, "Boys Attacked by Strange Bird. Unpleasant Experience Near Porthtowan." The article described that the boys saw a strange fluttering thing situated on a mine burrow. They approached and investigated what looked like a huge...
Did she say mind burrow? I don't know. Can somebody tell me what that is? Is there a closed caption? Okay. Let's see. Maybe it'll tell us what it is. It's situated on a mine. Oh, mine like a mine. Okay,
they approached
mine.
and investigated.
Like a mine. I thought she said mind burra. Like MINDBURA. I was like, what's a mind burra? It's mine burrow.
What looked like a huge dead bird. But as they did so, it sprang up and attacked them. They ran and eventually managed to escape. However, this article makes no mention of the creature being a birdman, and it may well have just been a large, hostile bird.
Sounds like it.
That's the main theory surrounding the Owlman legend. That there was simply a larger-than-average owl that lived in the church tower in Mornan and the surrounding woods. Because of its size and the large wingspan that owls can have, a large bird may have been mistaken for an owl and human hybrid. However, the witnesses gave quite detailed descriptions.
Sorry, my phone was going off. I wanted to make sure to silence it so it stopped buzzing.
And the creature is described specifically as standing like a man. Unlike
that's the thing. How else does a bird stand? A bird stands on two legs like a man. I mean, that's a thing. The birds do. How else is a bird supposed to stand? Like a cow?
Posture that a normal owl would adopt. The creature is also described as being the size of a man when standing, which is quite unattainable for any normal owl, and having glowing eyes, and, instead of a beak, a huge gaping mouth.
I don't know if that's what's consistent with the story. I don't know that they say instead of a beak. A beak has a mouth on it, and if it opens it, then it's a gaping mouth, but it still has a beak.
Whatever inspired the legend, I can assure you that I'll be taking care when venturing by any churches or through the woods at night.
I don't think we're...
You never know when the Owlman may be watching, perched high up above in the trees.
Now, I'm not all that worried about about owls or any kind of bird.
I'd like to take a moment.
Or any bird of prey for that matter. snagging me. Now, in the past, there were giant birds of prey. And we're just going to watch this video about giant owls real quick.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Hodari, the world's properest and most wisest paleo artist. Wise as in an owl, which is the animal I'm gonna be painting today. But it is not any owl. This is a creature that is half mythology and half reality. And perhaps no bird has captured human imagination as the owl. It's got that apparently wide and flat face and those huge front-facing eyes. It kind of reminds us of ourselves a little bit, but at the same time it is an alien creature, a silent predator of the night, long associated with witchcraft, spirits, ghosts, you name it. It is active during the night when we are sleeping, and in short, it just doesn't look like any other kind of bird. So it really shouldn't be surprising that the owl has been inspiring artists since prehistoric times. This is one of the earliest examples.
You say it's not like any other kind of birds now. You're a paleo artist, so I don't know if you know how a lot of other birds from other countries, but the frogmouths are very owl-like in their appearance. Uniquely evolved independently to fill the same sort of night predator niche, but frogmouths, they do have some other distinct characteristics as well. They have like fringy stuff on their faces, but yeah, they do the same kind of stuff that owls do.
We know of a depiction of an owl. It was found in France, and it is believed to have been etched on rock 30,000 years ago.
It is wise to have care near churches anyway. Dangerous predators live there. You ain't kidding, Ember.
Or more. You can clearly see that the artist was impressed by the owl's ability to rotate its head 270 degrees on any direction to compensate for the eyes being so big that they cannot move within their sockets. One of many adaptations that have made owls both fascinating and a little bit eerie to humans. Throughout history, owls have inspired all sorts of superstition. The ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, believed in the strix, a kind of giant grey-winged bird with front-facing staring eyes and a taste for human flesh, particularly that of children.
I don't know, owls were ever big enough to prey on humans, though, because owls have, if you look at an owl's face, you'll notice that its beak is really small in comparison to like other predatory birds, other raptors or birds of prey. There's less. Raptor, by the way, doesn't really mean anything. Clint's Reptiles did a great video on that, but raptors exist all over the place. They're not a clade. Some raptors, like falcons, we'll talk about that in a minute. Actually, we got falconry coming up later in the show, so stick a pin in it.
And this is eerily similar to the stories of giant man-eating owls found all across North America. From the Choctaw to the Apache to the Nahua people in Mexico, indigenous people had plenty of stories about giant monsters that looked like owls and preyed on humans. And usually, children were also its preferred victims. We have to wonder then, where do all these stories about man-eating owls come from? Now, some could argue that owls are strange enough in their own right to inspire all of these superstitions.
I mean, you don't have to wonder where it came from. I don't think. You can be like, well, owls are predators, and we see owls grab things like rabbits, and squirrels, and mice, and even things up to as large as like a fox or a cat, right? And you're like, good thing that owl's not big enough to grab me up. And someone's like, I'm going to tell a story about an owl that was big enough to grab someone up.
But what if there is more to the story? In the 1970s, paleontologist Alexander Wetmore described a series of bones found at Lads, Georgia in the southern United States. Among those fossils were those of a bird that still exists today but is no longer found in that region. It is a pheasant-like bird known as the spruce grouse, today found in the northernmost United States and in Canada, so its presence at Lads suggests that these fossils come from the late Pleistocene during a glacial period. In other words, these are Ice Age fossils.
Right.
And alongside with the spruce grouse fossils, there were also those of an owl. This owl could not be classified as any living species for one very simple reason: it was way too big. bigger in fact than any modern day owl species, and that is saying a lot. The largest owls of our day, such as the Eurasian eagle owl or the Blackiston's fish owl, can reach a wingspan of about 2 meters or 6.5 feet. These are already pretty formidable predators, but
Huge bird. Huge bird. You see this coming at you, you're gonna think you just saw the biggest bird that has ever existed. They're huge.
even they would have been dwarfed by the Ice Age owl. Now, unfortunately, those fossils are very fragmentary, and to my knowledge, they have not been formally described. But there are some things that we can infer from the fossils. For example, they appear to come from something similar to the wood owls of genus Strix. Yes, they were named after the Greek and Roman mythological creature. So we can at least attempt a reconstruction of this prehistoric owl. Modern-day Strix owls lack the ear tufts or horns of other kinds of owls, and they have bark-like plumage to camouflage themselves among trees during the day. Most of them are nocturnal, and they feed on any small animal that they can overpower, but at such size, our owl may have been preying on larger animals. The Ice Age owl would have been the nocturnal equivalent of a large eagle, so let's imagine it hunting one of the larger animals that lived alongside it. At the same sites, the fossils of a long-nosed peccary known as Milohyus have been found.
So, peccaries are like javelinas. They're pig-like animals. They're smaller generally than suids, and tend to be a little bit more furrier. There's other differences too, but this is the main thing. And also, peccaries are like 45% head. They have a lot of head. Their head is huge. But I definitely could see even modern owls preying on baby peccaries or baby suids. Even they're grabby size.
Now, there's no denying that Milohyus would have been a very dangerous animal to attack, but let's just go crazy with it. Perhaps juvenile Milohyus and those that were weakened for some reason would have been a target for the giant owl. Thanks to special feathers on its wings, the giant owl would have been able to swoop down on prey completely undetected because of how silent it was, and its giant talons would have been bigger than the hand of a man.
Yeah.
Large owls today are said to have a grip equivalent to the bite force of a large dog, so imagine the damage that a giant owl could do to prey with those huge talons. Now, our giant owl is taking a huge risk by attacking this Milohyus. For starters,
I'm gonna say right now that that suids and artiodactyls in general are not a regular prey for owls. Any species of owls, they're generally a rodent and lagomorph specialists.
They are among the animals that are known to return and help their fallen comrades. And at 70 kilograms, Milohyus was in the same size range as an adult human being, too heavy for even a giant owl to fly away with. Modern birds of prey, however, are known to hunt prey much bigger than they can carry. They just have to
Modern birds of prey, but not owls. Not owls, though.
eat on the ground. The owl's best bet would be to kill the Milohyus very quickly and then fly away until the herd leaves. Interestingly, Lats, Georgia is not the only place in mainland North America where the remains of giant owls have been found. In the Mexican state of Nuevo León, there is a fossil site known as Cueva de San Josecito, which has yielded the remains of many Ice Age animals, including some that are no longer found in Mexico today, such as marmots or even lemmings. And amongst them, there were also the remains of owls, bigger than any known from the region today. It seems likely to me that giant owls may have been an important element of the Ice Age faunas in mainland North America, one that has yet to be described scientifically. The first humans to arrive to the continent would have found its forests haunted by these formidable nocturnal predators, and it makes a lot of sense to me that the owls would target primarily children whenever they attacked humans, simply
I don't think they would attack humans at all. Owls eat things that are smaller than them. Their body's just built for it. They eat, like I said, rabbits, rodents especially though, mice, things that they can eat in one bite, they can swallow down in one gulp. That's an owl's bread and butter. I mean, it'd take a huge owl to be able to swallow down even the smallest human child in one gulp.
Because of their smaller size. But just like Milo Hios, humans were not very keen to see their children devoured. Here's the interesting part. Some of the folklore from indigenous North Americans, such as the Chiricahua people, actually speak of the giant owl monster as a creature of the past, and they say that their ancestors had to exterminate it before the land could be safe for their descendants. So this may be a cultural memory of the times in which their ancestors actually coexisted with a prehistoric giant owl. Many Ice Age creatures may have been exterminated by humans because they were overhunted for food. But the giant owl may have been a case in which it was actively persecuted because of the danger it posed. Understandable, but still tragic, because it would have been such a spectacular sight.
I hope not, but even so, when it comes to predatory megafauna, it wasn't always that they were a threat directly to us. Because I mean, we humans had lived with like lions and stuff in Africa for millions of years at that point. It was that we would hunt their prey to extinction, or that we would alter the landscape and the climate to a point where they could no longer thrive in the environment.
And so we get to the end of this video. Now there is more to be said about giant prehistoric owls, but I think I will leave that for later. For now, leave me a comment, tell me if you believe that the giant Ice Age owl may have been a thing, and whether there are superstitions about owls where you live. Until next time, never lose that sense of wonder.
So there definitely were giant ice-aged owls, including ones like the Cuban owl. Let me try to pronounce this name. Ornamegalonyx otroi. Which, yeah, look, is pretty big. If it is probably about as close as to a man-sized owl as you're going to get. God, I hate the color on this scheme on this. Cannot read it. Let's see. The Cuban owl, or giant cursorial owl, is an extinct genus of giant owl that measured 1.1 meters in height. It is the closest related species to the many species of living owl in the genus Strix. It was flightless or nearly flightless bird, and it is believed to be the largest owl that ever existed. It lived on the island of Cuba, which is adjacent to North America, which means this species is a good candidate for a close relative to the owl that they just discussed from Georgia. You know, just geographically speaking, there's a good probability that they're going to be closely related. But it's not the only place with giant owls. There's giant owls all over the place. At least in the Americas. West of the Mississippi, from Canada to Central America, live the burrowing owls. These small, brownish tan colored owls with bright yellow eyes are the only raptors in North America that live underground in burrows. They dig themselves or usurp from ground squirrels or tortoises. In open habitats like grasslands and deserts, they eat rodents, bugs. Standing about 10 inches high with a wingspan of maybe 2 feet and weighing around 7 ounces, the burrowing owl is slightly larger than the American robin. The extinct giant Cuban owl resembles the burrowing owl in shape, but stood 3 foot 7 inches tall and weighed about 20 pounds. Its relatively small wings probably made it flightless. Ornamegalonyx, the scientific name for the largest owl that ever existed, means bird with big claws. Strutting around the forested island of Cuba until it died around 6,000 years ago. The giant owl hunted animals as large as a stocky Caribbean rodent and small capybara, the largest living rodent. Like other ground-dwelling birds, the Cuban giant owl was probably a good runner, and is very likely it ran its quarry down before dispatching it with its powerful talons and beak. Osseo ecuadoriensis, another ancient owl who lived in Ecuador around up until around 10,000 years ago. It was more than 2 foot 3 inches tall, with a wingspan of about 5 feet. A cave dweller, the Ecuadorian owl was unusual in that it ate not only an unusual diet of rodent rabbits, but other owls, appearing to be an owl eating specialist. So this is the Ecuadorian cannibal owl. It's extinct though, unfortunately, so we don't get to know more about its ecology. I am sure you are all familiar with the extant barn owl, Tyto alba, one of the most widely distributed species of owl in the world. One of the most widespread of all the species of birds, subdivided into 28 species. The barn owl is found almost everywhere except the polar and desert regions, Asia, north of the Himalayas, and most of Indonesia, and most of the Pacific Islands. For the scientifically curious, there's an interesting paper about the evolution and diversification of barn owls you can read. About 30 to 10,000 years ago, there were also giant barn owls, about twice the size of today's species. Tyto robusta and Tyto gigantea lived on Monte Gargano, an island when the sea levels were higher 20 million years ago, and now part of Italy. Tyto robusta was a bit smaller than Tyto gigantea, but they ate different sizes of small mammal prey and were able to coexist. That's just an example of the two species. There was also the giant scops owl, Otis morivorus. Otis morivorus. Okay, I said it right, I think. On Rodriguez Island in southwestern Indian Ocean, which went extinct in the late 18th century, so fairly recently in the Rodriguez Island. Note that most of these large birds lived on islands or in isolated habitats. It's easier for birds to get big on islands than large mammals without mammalian predators. Birds take their place and grow large and predatory and are often flightless. The lack of large predators on islands has led to interesting and even bizarre adaptations of bird forms besides giant owls such as the kiwi, kakapo, and moa of New Zealand, the dodo of Mauritius, and one of my favorites, the kagu of New Caledonia. Problems arise when mammalian predators such as dog, cats, and humans colonize the islands and decimate the birds, which have no defense against invaders. All right, so giant owls and owlmen and all that.
Did the evolutionist...
No. Giant owls and owlmen and all that stuff are evident, right? Or not owlmen necessarily, but giant owls are definitely evident in the fossil record, right? We know that they existed at one point in time. Now, as far as what people are seeing as the owlman in England, they're seeing a giant eagle owl. I say giant. I mean, when I say giant, I mean like a exceptionally large one, or one that's making them feel like it's exceptionally large by being super intimidating and getting all up in their business. But I mean, if you believe that the owlman of Monway was a real thing, you definitely feel free to provide your evidence down below. I will anticipate that. But everyone else, please remember to be kind and take care, and we will see you next time. All right. Thank you guys for sticking with me here through Cryptic Corner. It's been a fun one. Don't go anywhere. We got more show to come. Got some... you're not going to want to miss this next section. I promise you're going to like it. It's redonkulous. Oh. Anyhow, I'm going to just give you guys an intermission, and then I will see you in just a few.
Did the evolutionists just kill the pterodactyl? Or did they finally catch up to the creationists?
Obviously, there's not going to be a ton of talk about these things. And the thing is, I do believe there was talk about these things. I believe if we study history, the Confederates were able to shoot pterodactyls, back in the Civil War. And they spread these things out. Anybody can look it up online. They spread these things out. And this is a historical fact. So, they spread this thing out, and it's got a huge wing length. And it's a pterodactyl they shot. So, of course, these things have been around. Now, they went extinct, obviously, slowly, but surely. And so, I don't believe that just because, at some point in time, coming from your perspective, that, just because they stopped talking about it means that they never saw it, when we have all this evidence that they've seen it.
Hello, my name is John Pendleton, and I'm speaking to you from Zacatecas, Mexico, center of Mexico. And today I'm going to tell you of my project to attract and capture a real living pterodactyl dinosaur.
But to the Christian, it makes common sense. Of course, there could be a few still alive. That's the first sighting I've heard of in Fort Worth, Texas. I've heard of them in Arizona. A friend of mine knows where some of them live, and he's going to go catch them and put them in a dinosaur adventure land he's going to build. And I can't reveal the details yet.
They're a form of what people call them pterodactyl. But if you consider them descended from some type of ramphorhynch or pterosaur.
Have you ever found yourself wondering about the fate of the human race? Do you wonder, who are we really, and where are we headed? For better or worse, we are here on Earth, surrounded by a hostile environment. Every day we face massive problems: fire, floods, tornadoes, volcanoes, disease. We see suffering and senseless death. What has any God done to help? Where has faith and prayer truly intervened to save us from these problems? In truth, we have no reason to believe in any God. We have no reason to accept that these disasters are the will of any divine being. We have to face the reality that no imaginary friend is coming to save us. But we are not alone. We have each other. We possess rationality. We have access to science and knowledge. We are capable of questioning authority and to think critically about our situation. This channel is here to push back against the unjustified belief in the unseen and unfalsifiable, to fight bad ideas and to unite all humanity against the real threats to our survival: ignorance and superstition. Together we can strive to be one planet, one species, humanity united. My name is Mark Reed, and I believe that together we can build a better world.
All right, my beauties and bees, hello, and welcome to the show. We got a great sci-files lined up for you today, and an old favorite of the channel that I am stoked to be revisiting. Now, if you don't know who this is, you'll know as soon as I start playing it. But let me share something with you. The channel is called RFTKOHIAH, but the person whose channel it is actually, and this is like brand new, this just came out, Panda Denialism Goes Mainstream. Now, they referenced the Pat McAfee show, where they did do an episode a few days ago about the pandas aren't real conspiracy kind of stuff. All in good fun based on silly costumes and whatnot. So, but Hans Wormhat takes that shit seriously. Let's give it a go.
Hoax is... So I guess pandas being a hoax is starting to break through to mainstream. I have no idea who this person is, but somebody left me a comment letting me know that the Pat McAfee show has discussed how pandas are not real. And yeah, I think the panda is probably a good introduction to fake animals. And why not? Why would those in control not make up animals? They fake everything on the world stage, so why would animals be this one thing where there's no deception? And yeah, so I think pandas are a good one that are pretty obvious when you think about it. And
it's weird to think that someone's like, oh, of all the things that aren't real, pandas, which is not that far out there, right? It's just a bear with black and white markings, right? It's nothing. There's nothing. I mean, there are other things about it that's unique, but obviously the fact that it's a bear with black and white markings, sure. But I mean, because I can understand, something like, if they've never seen one. A manatee doesn't exist, right? Because they're describing a manatee to someone who's never seen a manatee or never heard of a manatee or never experienced that. There's like nothing you can say that it's what do you say? It's like a seal, but it's like an elephant. But it's more like a cow, really. How do you? But it lives in the water. How do you? But when it comes to a panda, you can pretty simply say it's a black and white bear. You can go into more details about it, of course. It's a vegetarian bear, yeah. It's a small bear. You could say that. It's a small round bear. You could say that. But you have an idea without anybody ever having seen or witnessed a panda. You can describe a panda to them. Why, of all the things that Hans wants to commit to saying aren't real, is something that's so mundane in nature.
We'll look into it, but I don't want to say obvious because the suits are really good. They are very high quality suits. Sometimes they really use real animals, but dye them up to look like a panda. But for the most part, they're mascot suits. It's just a mascot suit with a human in it that looks like a bear.
Dude, if the suits that you're talking about with the with the high tech suits like you would, or the high end suits that you're talking about, if they had those, you gotta bet your ass the furries would be all over that, which is something that you could just do.
And so many silly videos out there where people in the comments know, and they make it obvious that they know that it's people in suits. You'll see comments talking about, oh, pandas are just drunk people in suits. But you'll also just see a lot of people that are duped, but questioning things like, hey, how does this dopey creature survive in the wild? Because...
Okay, and I want you to... so he's going to commit to the suits thing. I just want to show you guys something adjacent to this that I think just debunks his whole notion. This is about Ming-Ir, the panda Ming-Ir, which was raised by humans. So because it was raised by humans, it has a very peculiar characteristic.
You guys know about pandas, right? And you should also know in my hometown, Sichuan province, almost every family has a panda. And today, I want to share with you something interesting that I recently learned. Have you guys ever seen a panda break the bamboo? It's like this. But there's one panda. He's very special. He's like this. Do you know why he does that? It's because he didn't have a mother since he was little, so he was raised by a human keeper. And every time the keeper break bamboo, it's a struggle, so he pick it up from them. One time, he forgot to do it while breaking bamboo, and right after he remembered, then he quickly put on that face. It's so adorable. I love him so much.
So, yeah, like, that's some high-end animatronics there, Hans. That's, to make that grimace, that's I can't imagine he'd think that one was an animatronic. He's got to say that that's like a bear painted or like a real bear painted or something, right? He can't believe that that's a person in a suit.
Because, I don't know, pandas are kind of known for being dopey, and I think it's just because they're fumbling around in a fursuit, and they don't make the pandas as serious as the gorilla suits. But I'm just going to go through some... I was looking for some more historical photos of pandas for this video, and who knows, maybe... I feel like the panda hoax would be worth a channel really breaking down, really diving into...
I would love to find a panda hoax channel. I could just like milk that sucker for content. A panda hoax channel.
All the details and stuff. Same thing with the gorilla suits. There's just so much stuff out there, and you probably could spend a lot of time trying to find historical information on these creatures. And I think that you would come up short if you tried to find stuff about pandas from the early 1900s, for instance. The history of the panda is very strange. March 11th, which is a 33 date. March being the third.
So he's like it was like geometria. That's what it is. Geometria and all that really just numeric stuff.
Month and 11, and 11 times 3 is 33. Apparently, a hunter brought a panda skin to the French Jesuit. Okay. And the Roosevelts are, I guess, involved with the pandas. Gotta think how much money the panda brings in donations for this hoax. It's a big money-making hoax, this one. And a political thing, which I find very interesting. What creature is so political as the panda? It's like this government thing that the government...
Well, I mean, people have been doing that for a long time. Like for most of history, the tiger was probably the biggest thing coming out of Asia as far as a dignitary gift of goodwill, as an animal gift. Would be to give the country, to give visiting dignitaries or members of parliament a tiger to add to the king's menagerie or whatever. But yeah, pandas, since their discovery in the West, have been the new hot ticket for China.
Of China like gifts these animals out. Very strange concept. Giant panda diplomacy of China. It's like a diplomatic thing. Oh man, Nixon.
But it's not just pandas, babe. They've been doing it. They did it with, like I said, that tigers. Tigers were a big one. Elephants have been historically given out in this capacity.
Miling up a storm over there, and holding their hand like a magic wand there on the left.
Holding their hand like a magic wand. See, he like goes through the pictures and like looks at their hand, how people's hands are and things like that. The way their feet are, you'll see it in a minute. He gets like really detailed into like, oh, they do this and that.
It's a very common hand sign from these people. Why is it so political? And it's because the world governments conspire together to dupe the plebs. That's part of those in control. They love fooling people. Satan is a deceiver and the father of all lies. And Satan's children are the minions.
But why do they do it with other animals too? Why do they do it with like the America does it with bison? I assume that you believe bison are real. I don't know. They're a type of a cow. They're a type of cow. Bison, the Hans, they're a type of cow. So you believe in types of cows. Right? And bison's a type of cow. America, the USA, gives those out to other countries like China gives out pandas. So, if China gives out pandas and it's a conspiracy to dupe the plebes, or plebs, or, yeah, I always said plebes, but plebs, whatever, why doesn't the U.S. give out jackalopes or something cool like that? Jackalopes are easy to fake. Easier to fake than a panda, too. You don't even got to color it. You just got to put antlers on it.
that run around on Earth enslaving the population and duping them and getting a chuckle while they do it.
Right, it's plebes because it's short for plebeian.
So that's why the panda is political. It's a political, well, it's a deception.
How are you looking at Ming? How are you looking at Ming and saying that's not a real animal? You think that is a doll?
China is like extending, I don't know the right analogy for it, but China allows people in on this deception. Here, take a panda, and that's why it's a political thing. It'll make you some money, your panda suit. You can charge people money to come look at it, and you can make up all sorts of stories about conservation of these things. Did you know that there's only supposed to be like 1,000 of these things in the wild? Just that to me seems so unbelievable.
Yeah, they're so rare. They have a very, very niche habitat and lifestyle behavior.
Unbelievable that they're... And who's seen these things in the wild? Nobody. I don't think they do panda treks in the same way that you can pay money to go walk out in the forest and see some gorilla suits. I don't know that I've...
Well, that's because... gorilla suits. That's because gorillas live in big troops that are trackable by... you can track pandas too, but they're more solitary. They're more exponentially more rare than gorillas. And they and they live solitary lives.
Heard that about panda suits. Can you pay money to go out in a bamboo forest and see some pandas? I don't know. Anyways, I'm just going to show some of these. I mostly just wanted to show that this thing is going mainstream. Pandas being a hoax could potentially be going mainstream. And notice how they like to get ahead of the
you
game.
can definitely go on panda tours in China. Take a 1 to 8 day panda tour with China Discovery based in Chengdu to get close contact with cute pandas. You literally can. You can go on a panda tour. Oh, hold on. I gotta get to... Yeah. Yay, best panda experience. Go on the panda tour. Look, different panda bases. You can get your panda on, about 10% panda. Look at this, like a 10% panda fans choose this. If you're going to China and you want to see pandas, it's pandemonium up at China Discovery. Minger is so cute.
Game on stuff like this. That's the whole birds aren't real campaign, is a way for them to get ahead of it and make...
Hans found the birds aren't real people making fun of him. Because the birds aren't real people are literally making fun of Hans, right? That's it's not specifically Hans, but people that are making claims like Hans, that these things aren't real. There's a conspiracy, ice wall, penguin guards, all the nonsense.
Make a clown show out of the situation. They want you to think that they're gonna point to anybody that talks about fake animals and say, oh, you're one of those birds aren't real people. That's why they do stuff like the birds aren't real campaign. They know that they're being ridiculous because they're gonna take people that have legitimate fake animal claims and they're gonna say, oh, you're just like those birds aren't real people. You're saying birds aren't real because you doubt in the panda, as if pandas are the same thing as birds. They like...
Right. So again, we get back to what your level of credulity is, right? So with Hans being panda, sure. A bear that's different colors. A bird is completely alien to human anatomy, right? This little feathery dinosaur with hollow bones that has a pneumatic skeleton and can fly all these characteristics that are much more out there than what you see with a panda. So they have more credibility than you, and they're trolls making fun of you.
To do that. It's the same thing with the flat earth. If you wondered why are all the mainstream flat earth people such bozos, then it's because it's constructed that way on purpose. They want the people that get the most exposure to be total clowns, so that if there's some...
Sweetie, that's you. It's you. You are the mainstream. You are the one. You're like number 3 on a list. That when I think of a list of flat Earth, YEC, reality denialism, stuff like this, and damn, pandas aren't real. Dinosaurs didn't exist. It goes Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, Hans Wormhat. You are literally number 3 in my mind. So you are literally the clown.
Somebody in real life who has these opinions, they align you with their clowns. I mean, there's a term for that. I forget. Straw man. They're setting up all sorts of straw man arguments for people. There was some cool old panda stuff. I think there's some dupe and delight going on that one. This is an odd one. That's not the normal shape.
Dude, look at 19th century art for any animal book. The Audubon Society had tons of books like this, where people would paint and draw versions of the animals that, not always great.
And some of the old pandas too have a slightly different look going on. They'll take chow puppies and paint them up like a panda.
He thinks that's a chow puppy. Like Hans really thinks that's a chow puppy.
I see a lot of duping delight in this image. There is no old Chinese art with pandas. It is all new. The art of pandas. There's no ancient... You can't find an ancient jade panda.
Pandas have always been extremely rare. I don't know. There's lots of jade bears. I'm assuming, how would you distinguish a jade panda from a jade bear? Because jade's the color, and the difference between carving of a bear and the carving of a panda is going to be the color.
Because it's not a real animal, and it didn't exist in the past. It was something that people made up like 200 years ago. But you can see the duping delight on these bozos' faces. A lot of the people that you see posing around panda stuff, it's dudes in suits, which I find very funny. That the panda and the...
That's because receiving a panda from China was a very formal and dignified affair. These were ambassador animals.
Historical images of pandas, they're always surrounded by people in suits, the important people of the time. You got some Q angle, and that's a Masonic foot pose. Like
Masonic foot pose. I do like men's shoes back then, though. Men's shoes look styling back then. But Masonic foot pose. Does this look Masonic? Like, has Hans ever been to like a photo op where like, oh yeah, we can get the panda in the picture. You stand here and you stand here. Turn this way. Turn this way. Up there you go. Stand like this. Twist a little bit. These people didn't choose to stand this way. The photographer put them that way.
There's a famous image of George Washington, the famous Masonic George Washington with the feet together, angled out like that. Q angle.
George Washington is literally people. Those are paintings, dude. Someone painted that. It doesn't have anything to do with how George Washington really stood. Or to say that he really stood like that. People can paint George Washington doing all kinds of stuff. People can paint George Washington smoking a bong. Happy 420, everybody.
So we got a lot of people in suits around the pandas. Again, a lot more people in suits, big coats, and fancy hats. I guess the idea of like nature people probably wasn't as well developed back in these times. Anybody who wasn't anybody was wearing a suit or whatever. It just seems like these days they try to make animal people more down to earth seeming. So all the suited individuals was kind of weird to me. Doesn't this one look odd? Field Museum Photo Archives.
That's literally a taxidermy, dude. That's why it looks odd. It's taxidermy.
I don't know. There's something odd about this one.
Not yeah. What you're seeing that's odd about it is that it's dead, and then reconstructed and posed, with its pelt stretched over a armature and artificial eyes. A lot of artificial pieces, actually.
They're doing minimal, I'm talking minimal research today, looking for images. So maybe I should do a more in-depth panda thing. Maybe I should look for old historical accounts. But it seems like London was a big place for the panda. They were really trying to push the panda. These London socialite individuals allegedly had one as a pet.
Yeah, like in the early 20th century, elite people would have exotic animals as pets. Some people still think it's like cool to do that. It's gross and kind of cringe, but yeah. And you can see this woman's also wearing, I don't know if that's real fur or not, but she's wearing like leopard or jaguar print.
Got some Duper's Delight going on with that one.
Duper's Delight.
You gotta be rich and famous to get access
This is the same
to these sorts of
person.
creatures. That's where this stuff, it's
This
so obviously
looks like it's like Ruth something. It's Ruth something. It's the same person who looks like they were a panda caretaker. Let me see. Probably find out who she is. Panda Ruth. Let's see. Yep, here we go. Easy to find. I'm just finding out who this person is, because Ruth Harkness. Easy peasy. All you gotta do is do some research, my dude, and it'll tell you who the person is and what their association is. So now we know who she is. We can look her up. Ruth Harkness Panda. And find out why she's associated with pandas. Harkness traveled to Shanghai and with the help of a Chinese-American explorer named Quentin Young and Gerald Russell, a British naturalist, launched her own panda mission. After passing through Chongqing and Chengdu, the team arrived at a mountain range where on the 9th of November, 1936, they encountered and captured a 9-week-old panda cub. The panda was then named Su Lin, and after Young's sister-in-law was bottle-fed baby formula on the journey back to Shanghai and the United States, Su Lin meant the phrase a little bit of something very cute. Young migrated to the U.S. in later years and felt he never got credit for his work in finding the panda. The panda caused great sensation in the American press. It eventually ended up in the Brookfield Zoo in Chicago. So, yeah, it's not this isn't some random person. Was that... where'd you go, dude? Here you are.
Not comparable to birds. Well, they'll try to say that people that doubt certain animals, oh, you're like those birds aren't real campaign. Yeah, except for the fact that I can just walk outdoors and see a bird any day of my life if I want to. But who has access to pandas? Why is it a socialite? Why is it always these socialites? And
she's not. So this is like literally a person who like went out and got the first panda to get into the American zoo system. It's not just some social. I mean, it is, but to the extent there was people that had the money to go over in China and do an expedition to go get one of these bears.
Always behind closed doors operations when it comes to their Illuminati animals. They don't make it easy.
That's Mina Harker. I think Mina Harker from Dracula.
Let me know if you've heard people in the wild talking about pandas not being real. Is this one that Owen Benjamin would talk about? I know that a few years ago Owen Benjamin would bring up fake animals every once in a while. I'm not sure if
you know who brings up fake animals a lot? Joe Rogan. You should go watch Joe Rogan there, Hans. He talks about like 60-foot anacondas and all kinds of weird stuff. Jonathan Harker.
Some large hands on that woman.
Yeah, Hans, by the way, not to anybody's surprise, of course, I'm sure, is a raging misogynist.
There's some really strange panda birthing videos. I suggest, if you've never looked at this topic before, there's a panda birthing video from the Toronto Zoo that is a hoot. And so, of course, I think they are staged.
It's a hoot. I wonder what he means by it's a hoot. A birthing video of pandas.
These are some weird old-timey photos.
He just says they're weird without any kind of...
They're known to be hard/impossible to reproduce. And it's because they're expensive suits. And so they need to be made. And it's a whole investment.
You can literally see like videos of breeding centers with dozens of baby pandas. That's like an old time. That's the trouble with panda reproduction in captivity was a struggle of a previous generation. We got it down now. We're able to breed pandas by the dozens. It's not a thing anymore. And I'll show you some videos of that if you don't believe me.
So that's why they can't just breed them wildly in captivity, because it's really not just a wild animal. They have to spend.
They actually can though. Again, I just as far as pandas go, we have very robust breeding programs today. This is that was an issue, in the 20th century, and even up into the beginning of the 21st century, we're struggling to figure out the best way to get these animals to procreate in captivity. But if you look, things are going pretty well on at least captive breeding programs.
Time and investment, and if they're going to make a newborn to actually get like a panda and have it be born, that's a huge investment, because they're going to have to pretend that this thing is getting older and older. It's not just one suit. It's a fake puppet for the baby. And then every once in a while, they got to replace it with a larger size. That would actually be a really interesting thing to do. This is what I mentioned. Like, I'm way too lazy to do studies like this, like really in-depth things. But
you don't say. You're too lazy to even check to see it. You're too lazy to check to see if an animal is actually real or not.
A newborn alleged panda or alleged gorilla suit or chimpanzee, if you were really good at following them, I imagine that you would see they stay the same size for a long time, and then all of a sudden, poof, they're like a bigger size. And who knows, maybe that's when they take them away from you just won't see them. Like, let's just say you have a year pass.
He almost said take it away from the mother, but then he'd have to be like, oh, that means that's a mother. That's the panda's mom. And he doesn't want to say that the panda's real.
Your local zoo that had a young gorilla, for instance, or a young chimpanzee. If you went every single day and watched them, and then I wonder if they just disappear for a while, and you're like, hey, I haven't seen Jojo, the gorilla, in a while. I wonder what's up with Jojo. And then she comes back on the scene all of a sudden and looks different. looks bigger. I wonder about that. Well, you know, I don't really have anything shocking or new to show today. I just wanted to show that somebody big was talking about this topic. Odd though, the vibes around the old stuff, it's weird how many suits and hats are around these creatures and doctors. I just think that they used to package it differently.
Because as long as we've had pandas in captivity, we've been trying to figure out how to maintain them. So, trying to maintain their ecology has always been an important part of panda husbandry. It still is. As I said, there was the famous issue with how we're going to get these animals to reproduce. Those problems have. I mean, not to say that it's easy to get pandas to breed. I mean, compared to other bears and other animals that you have to keep apart to keep from breeding, you do have to condition pandas to breed. They're not just going to jump right into it. So, but we know how to do it now. We didn't know how to do it for the longest time. I don't want to claim that I know how they do it, but they've worked something out, because we got dozens and dozens of baby pandas being born every year.
In the past, and nowadays we got wildlife looking people. You know how much of society is built around social engineering and wearing the right type of costume. They used to have different types of costumes for the people the handlers of these creatures in times past. It seems like they used to look more like carnival-y or circus director types, or men in suits, or looking like a doctor working with these creatures. The environmentalist working with animal persona suit has kind of changed throughout the years. They don't make them look so formal these days.
Like,
just something I've noticed. This suit looks a little.
It's whoever, like, you're talking about how the people are dressed around the panda. It's whoever was at the photo. I give it's a dignitary receiving it. You're gonna see people in suits, right? But they don't do that anymore, because most countries that are gonna have pandas already have their pandas. China's not outsourcing pandas anymore. That was a thing that they were doing for a long time. I don't think that they're like presenting pandas as gifts at a regular basis anymore. I could be wrong. I could be mistaken. I know that some zoos will get pandas on loan from Chinese zoos or from other zoos, but as far as like giving them out as gifts from China to other nations, I don't know if that's still in practice. That's probably why you don't see that so much, and it's changed more, and now you see more of ecologists and zoologists and zookeepers and stuff interacting, and wildlife managers interacting with the pandas, as opposed to people in suits receiving them from politicians.
A little different. This is an older London one. Are those hexagonal logs? Well,
pandas are aromantic demisexual. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Maybe some flowers in a joint, and relax the panda and make her feel comfortable. Yeah, that could work.
I really don't have that much to share. Here's some more duping delight on the skeleton-looking creature on the right here.
Skeleton-looking creature. Newsprint's kind of funny that way. Most of my audience is older folks that are either my age or a little bit older. But yeah, we all remember when newspapers would give you this modeled mess for photos, these modeled black and white. It was an early period, but he's just making fun of the fact that this woman's features are sharpened by the camera work of mid 20th century newspapers.
Oh, duper's delight. These people that lie, they're liars, and they love lying, and they love deceiving the public. They get a lot of joy from lying to people, and it just bursts out of them a lot of times. They also love, this is a meme that's nothing new. Notice that the panda's giving you the one eye symbol, covering one of the eyes. And this is a meme that people have caught on to, that they love having like a
What people, Hans?
stuffed animal or a bad suit next to a good suit. It's a weird little magic trick game where they're like, here's our plushie that looks really bad, and it like helps sell the better looking suit as like a real living creature.
So you think that they're putting this here that looks like this to make this suit more convincing, which you think is a suit, even though it's an actual animal, and you can see the musculature and stuff like that.
The fact that they put it next to a stupid plushie. Well, they're both plushies, basically. These days, it's always with the spy cam. They'll have some weird spy cam gorilla goes and spies on the other gorillas. But it seems like it's a trick that they've been playing for a long time. Hey,
you talking about that gorilla cam? I thought that was was cute.
Weird looking puppet that somebody took 5 seconds to make. Stick that in the pin next to your work of art panda suit, and it really sells it. Well, that's it for this video. I'm going to keep it short. I just wanted to show that some big time channel that I've never heard of has been talking about this topic. So
yeah,
it's always good when people talk about these things and more exposure to these things. Everybody should know that there's people out there that don't believe in all the animals on the world stage. It's a good starting talking point to try to expose this deception that goes a lot deeper than just the panda. It's not just the panda. There's many, many fake animals out there, and I'd say the worst ones are the great apes, because they need those great apes to try to push evolution and to try to
evolution. There we go.
People. But you know, maybe some people will first wake up to the panda, and it'll help them out to see that gorillas and chimpanzees are also people in suits. That's it for this video. God bless everyone.
Yeah, this is the, just to let you guys know, this is the show that he was referring to with talking about the.
As things are flying out there, compelling arguments can be made for a lot of things.
Hey,
Yeah.
it was not community noted though.
It wasn't community noted, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Once you have the veil on
Those aren't.
I mean,
that's clearly Halloween.
Come on.
That's Halloween for those two. They got to do spend a day with an actual panda.
see, those ones look more real than all.
Instead of glove.
Some things that don't even deserve to be community noted, and this is one of them.
Guy's got
Okay?
baseball gloves on.
Yeah.
Look, guys, if you don't want the veil to be unraveled in front of your eyes, just say it.
Stay off the internet. Okay, what happened?
Yeah,
The
so
hammer?
if it's not clear, these guys are making fun of Hans too. So this isn't like, no, your woo hasn't gone mainstream, Hans. Just more people are making fun of you about it. More people are aware of that. Oh my gosh, there's people out there that think that that pandas aren't real. Let's make fun of them, and then they do it. They're not your allies, Hans. Did I just get raided? My view count just popped up by 5 or 6. Anyway, if I did, hello, welcome to the show. We're finishing up sci-fails, but don't go anywhere because we're gonna wrap this up and we're gonna move right into the bestiary. So as far as Hans Wormhat goes, do you guys like when I cover Hans Wormhat? Let me know. Obviously, I like covering it because I think he's funny. And also like absolute cringe. He's right up there with Roger and Gina. So if you like watching that, let me know, and we'll keep doing it, and we'll keep revisiting when they put out new stuff. Do you think pandas are real? Do you think that they're people in suits? Do you? Please tell me I don't have people in my hive that think pandas are people in suits. But if you do think so, let me know, because I wanna explore that with you. All right, so please be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, don't go anywhere, because I have more show to come. We're going to move right over to Breeze Bestiary. kind of a shorter one, but that's all right. We're going to be talking about falconry, though, which is cool. So, you know, I'll see you guys over there. Hello, my beauties and bees. Welcome to another episode of Bree's Bestiary, where I just pick an animal, any animal that I feel like, and I talk about it. There's a lot of focus towards domestic animals. I like to talk about the domestication of species. Also, if we have any unique breeds, for instance, or programs that we have in place for those. The human interaction with animals and animal evolution is always fascinating to me. And I've done domesticated animals ad nauseum on the show. I've talked about, cats and dogs and everything in between. What parrots and goldfish. Anyway, there's some animals, though, that just, although they're very much part of a domestic partnership. Domestic partnership, not like a marriage, though. They're a domestic alignment, I guess. They're not domesticated to the point where you would call them a domestic animal. One that comes to mind, of course, is work elephants, which you all know how I feel about work elephants, but that's a situation where it is essentially one domesticated species pressing a wild species into work, right? Elephants will never be domesticated because they're too smart. I think there's a lot of animals that have fallen into that category too, like I don't think you'll ever domesticate apes, at least not in any meaningful way. But birds of prey, I think they do have the potential to be domesticated. I think that what we see in things like falconry, that these animals have a lot of qualities that would lend them towards a long-term domestication process. Now, we haven't been domesticating birds of prey for very long, so we haven't been taming birds of prey for very long. So the process is not nearly as in depth. But I firmly believe that with time we would actually end up with domestic birds of prey, at least falcons specifically. But we'll look at a brief history of falconry and then we'll talk about it some more.
Welcome to the history of British falconry. In this video, I'll explain the origins and traditions.
And I know he said British falconry, but he talks about where British falconry originated too, because you're surprised falconry doesn't stem from Great Britain.
Of hunting with birds of prey. I'll talk about the language that was used in the past and how that's influenced language today, and I'll name drop a good number of historical celebrities who are known for practicing the sport themselves.
I love owls. I'm gonna mute this part though, because I don't know what his music's doing.
Falconry is believed to be over 4,000 years
So this
old.
guy does, I'm assuming he does bird shows based on the intro clip, which is kind of cool because I used to do the bug shows, you all know, before lockdown and stuff. I used to go to, and not big events like this, but like birthday parties and classroom Halloween parties and stuff. Mongolia is the oldest falconry that we have. Though there are suggestions of falconry in other places, even as far back into Mesopotamia.
But the first credible records show that it all began over 3,000 years ago in 1700 BC, where Mongolian tribes captured wild raptors and trained them to hunt to provide food for the villagers. It's an ancient tradition that is still practiced today in Mongolia and now all across the world. Over many centuries, falconry has played a part in social pastimes.
See, I think that, yeah, this is given the implication that it initially was believed that it originated in wherever all other domestication originates. Well, I shouldn't say all, because there's this valley, and this valley that stuff originates from, because the Indus Valley has a lot of domestic species that come from it, and so does West China. Or not West China, East China. I'm thinking West China. West China's the Himalayas. But yeah, obviously the claim being made here is that Mesopotamia is the origins of the practice of falconry. Look what we have on the map, though. We have Tartaria. Better get out your conspiracy theories, because there's Tartaria. This time being shown as West Asian. But you got your Mongols way up here, and that's where this bird's flying to, assumingly, because that's where modern falconry finds its roots.
Social hierarchy and even battles. Early falconry is believed to have begun in Asia, starting with China, then Pakistan and the Middle East, before making its way up through Europe. The practice reached Britain by the 9th century and was very popular during the medieval period. Over the centuries, many different species of birds of prey have been used in falconry, including kestrels, hawks, falcons, and eagles. The first task the falcon...
But notice never owls, because like we were talking about earlier in the show, when we talked about the giant owls, owls don't really want to target things that are bigger than them, that are bigger than a mouthful. It's usually not a goal.
...would face is to catch a wild raptor using a trap. Once captured, the bird was fitted with equipment to allow the falconer to hold and control the bird. The physical handling and tethering practices...
I actually picked this video because I like this guy with the goofy faces. He actually makes this pretty funny.
...were notably very similar to the methods used today, including using leather to make anklets and jesses. The next step is to man the bird. Manning is the term used to describe the action of spending time with the bird on the glove, allowing it to become customized with humans and many other animals, objects and contraptions that may move or make a...
So you gotta walk around with a falcon on your hand for days and days until it gets used to...
noise. One example of manning is to remain holding the bird for a very long time. It's even been recorded that some falconers would hold the bird until it fell asleep before they did. A process like that could take several days to accomplish. Once settled, the trainer would begin...
I'm not going to play which one of us can stay awake longer with a bird. If I'm sleepy, I'm going to go sleep, and the bird can go sleep when it's sleepy too.
...by feeding the bird a good variety of delicious food, such as quail and rabbit. The bird would learn that the trainer was a good person, someone to be trusted. Once the raptor is calm and familiar with its trainer, the falconer would slowly bring the bird's weight down so it became hungrier. In the 12th century,
so like ancient falconry, it was really about starving your bird, right? That was the goal. Or that was the process. I shouldn't say that was the goal. You'd keep them underweight and unfed, so that they would always be hungry and ready to hunt.
Trainer would weigh the bird using pan or steelyard balances. Once the bird has reached its flying weight, the bird training can begin. A safety line, known as a créance, would be used for the initial training. The trainer perfecting the basics of flying the bird to the fist. Once free, the bird would have its fitness replenished, flying great lengths and heights before returning to the trainer. The weight of the bird would be dropped even lower to reach hunting weight, and the raptor introduced to the field. The hunt would then begin, the bird chasing hare or pouncing onto pheasant. Different species would have different quarry. The larger the bird, the larger the prey. The training.
Yeah, they use like eagles. You can with like. They're actually like really good, by the way. Yeah, thank you. With eagles, you can they actually hunt wolves and stuff with them. You can hunt some huge animals with an eagle. Wolves and deer. Obviously, we've all seen the videos of the eagle being taking goats off the sides of mountains, but yeah.
Techniques mentioned are almost exactly the same techniques that are still practiced today.
Hooray! Ha-ha! Look at that! Catch it for day! Ooh, well done.
He's very excited about. I guess that's what you'd eat, though. That's how you would make your. That's how you would sustain yourself, right?
Well done, my beauty. Ooh.
There's a great deal of terminology in falconry, and many of the words and expressions used in medieval times.
This part is kind of neat, so check this out.
Have evolved over time and are still used today. One of the most common phrases is fed up. If the falconer had overfed the bird and it was sat in a tree, he would not be inclined to return to the glove.
Come on, you know you want it. It's your favourite, quail.
He's fed up.
The term fed up literally means to feed the bird up until full, although in modern language it would mean someone looking despondent or to have had enough of something. Birds of prey drink.
Yeah, so you get like fed up because you're not interested anymore. It's kind of weird to find out these are falconry terms.
Far less water than most other animals, as they gain most of their fluid from the blood of the prey they devour. Therefore, a bird that was often seen drinking or sat in its water for a long time was known as a boozer. The word now known as booze as an acronym for alcohol. Tethering birds of prey is a practice that has been around for many hundreds of years. The term "at the end of my tether" refers to birds that would attempt to fly with no success, suggesting that there is only a small amount of leash left before breaking.
I don't know if that can be directly linked to falconry, though. I think a dog could be at the end of its tether, too. And dogs are much more common than falcons, even in medieval, even as hunting animals in the medieval periods. So that was a bit of a stretch, in my opinion.
Breaking free. Under the thumb and wrapped around your little finger are direct terms from falconry, both methods of securing the holding of the birds and having control over them. These phrases now mean having control over a person rather than a bird. And it was known from the start that birds of prey fear what they can see and not what they can hear. This is why falconers used hoods to temporarily block the vision of the birds, like when moving the bird or preparing it for flight. The result? Keeping the bird calm and not wasting any precious energy.
So, as far as the under my thumb and wrapped around my finger, I just learned that today, or like not today, last night when I was vetting this video. It's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But because I never even considered where those terms come from, because they're so intuitive in their analogy, but they have to have an origin somewhere.
Energy. The term hoodwinked derives from this very practice. Now, how did these words and phrases, which were specific to falconry, end up in modern language used today? Well, one reason is because of authors like William Shakespeare. Shakespeare had an interest in falconry, often reported to have joined hunts and even owning his own hawks. He used the language of falconry in his plays, often using them as direct metaphors, which almost instantly became...
So many of our euphemisms and stuff come from Shakespeare, and we don't even realize it, like a modern English. Yeah, those are the more good ones. Examples. Wrapped around your finger is a good example. like Shakespearean terminology that hoodwinked.
Became well-known phrases, but with different meanings. Today, anybody who's serious and enthusiastic about getting to the sport of falconry can take it up. However, in the medieval era, things weren't quite as simple as that. During the height of the medieval era, falconry had grown to be very popular amongst the wealthier individuals of society and often connected to the royal family. It is believed that Henry VIII had more falcon mews than horse stables, so hawking was for kings.
Yeah, a lot of people, rich and famous people, had falcons. It was expensive to maintain back then, and time-consuming to pursue. Like if you were a part of the peasantry, you didn't have time to train a bird up. You had to worry about where your next meal was coming from.
Kings, lords and nobles. And there was a reasonably strict order to which species of bird a person was allowed to own and hunt with, depending on their profession or status. For example, a knight would have a saker falcon, a priest a sparrowhawk, the king a gyrfalcon, and a kestrel for a knave. This list is based on which birds were deemed the most desirable, through a combination of the look, the size, and what it can catch. There are many famous...
Peregrine falcon, I believe, is a species of sparrowhawk. I think that falcon and sparrowhawk are synonyms. Let me see. I might be wrong. I think it's sparrowhawk is a type of falcon, though. Sparrowhawk. I just don't like to say things that are wrong, if you know what I mean. Cryptodia. No, but it's a true hawk. My bad. I was wrong. That's why I fact checked, though. Sparrowhawks are true hawks. I thought they were falcons. So I just want to clarify that falcons are not related. So hawks, eagles, kites, harriers, they're all in a family together. And there's the falcons are in a different family with parrots. So like falcons are tactical assault parrots essentially, whereas hawks are small eagles. And they both fill the same niche and compete with each other. And they're both really good at it. Sparrowhawks and falcons tend to be used more or target more towards bird prey, though.
From history who had a well-established hobby in falconry, including Mary Queen of Scots, who flew a merlin. Part of King Richard's release ransom was for 2 white gyrfalcons. And during the Nazi reign in Germany, all falconry was controlled by the SS. There are even references to Julius Caesar using falcons to kill carrier pigeons. Over the course of the centuries, different laws have evolved around the practice.
When we talked about carrier pigeons, that's actually kind of what inspired this, because when we talked about carrier pigeons in the history of the domestic pigeon a couple of weeks ago, I had mentioned that during World War II they would use hawks to they did falcons. They use falconry to try to stop messenger pigeons.
Practice of falconry. During the early 13th century, it was illegal for labourers to hunt with birds of prey, and if caught, punishment would be served. During medieval times, falconry was taken so seriously that a stolen hawk could result in the death penalty. Conversely, falcons were sometimes offered as gifts to kings, often favouring the stunning...
No, just pandas. It's weird because only pandas are ever offered that way. Nope, you're wrong. Hans Wormhat just told us.
Gyrfalcon as the perfect present.
Your Royal Highness, I
I have here your falcon, and he's, I've trained him to a very good standard, so if you could refrain from beheading me, that would be just lovely. Thank you.
Now, falconry gauntlets are usually left-handed. There is an ancient myth as to why. It was believed that when soldiers were hawking, perhaps on horseback, a warrior would need his right arm free to draw his sword in the sudden event of a battle.
Go into battle with a falcon on your arm. Why don't you just let the falcon go when you're fighting, and then you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to wear that heavy glove? Why would you take a poor bird into battle anyway? That just seems cruel.
In reality, gloves are left-handed simply because most people are right-handed, thus enabling them to carry out other tasks with their stronger hand. Throughout the centuries, falconry has been a strongly held activity, still practiced today, and is often considered to be the oldest sport in existence.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a pretty cool little video about the history of falconry. That was from Owl Adventures. They do mostly owl stuff, but yeah, they have some beautiful birds as well. I hope you enjoyed this little installment of Bree's Bestiary. Got a little information. Maybe you didn't know the origin of those words, because I didn't. Now I do. So I learned something today, if anything. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. Alright, so got one more section I wanted to cover, and then we will, we're going to call it a day. So, I'll see you guys over there in just a moment. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to a installment of Paleo Peak for you. Just new stuff popping up all the time, and I wanted to talk about some. Usually I talk about animals here, but actually I'm talking about some humans here, or a species of human at least. Let's look at Homo erectus. Did Homo erectus have language, build boats, and sail across the ocean? Really cool. Archaeologists are currently locked in a debate about whether or not one of our most enigmatic ancestors possessed language. According to some, traces of the extinct human species, Homo erectus, on remote islands suggests they must have been able to build boats and navigate the waves, all of which would have required advanced communication skills. However, new analysis of this theory has found some major holes, ultimately concluding that the idea simply does not float. First appearing in the archaeological record around 2 million years ago, H. erectus spread through Eurasia before disappearing a little over 100,000 years ago. It has even been suggested that the extinct human lineage that made it all the way to the island of Flores in India, in the Indian Ocean, and Crete in the Mediterranean, the apparent maritime mastery has inspired the theory that H. erectus possessed the necessary language skills to collaboratively build seaworthy vessels and sail in the seas. Yet linguistic professor Rudolf Botha from Stellenbosch University is unconvinced. For starters, he says, it's a bit of a stretch to assume that the ancient species ever set foot on Crete in the first place. To back up the argument, Botha points out that no H. erectus fossils have ever been found on the island, and while prehistoric Cretan stone tools have been tentatively attributed to the species, some scholars think they were more likely to have been made by Neanderthals. Over on Flores, meanwhile, most ancient human remains ever discovered belong to the famous hobbit-like Homo florensis. Sorry, I messed that up. Which is thought to be the descendant of Homo erectus, but may have evolved from other hominids like Homo habilis or Australopithecus. It is therefore not completely certain that H. erectus actually made it to either of these islands, although Botha admits that it does seem more likely in the case of Flores than it does for Crete. However, even if the ancient human lineage did sail to Flores, it doesn't necessarily mean they did so deliberately or built boats for the trip. Pointing to the assertion made by numerous other scholars, Botha suggests that H. erectus may have accidentally ended up on Flores after being swept out to sea on natural rafts made of local vegetation. Crossing the stretch of open water separating Flores from the nearest other islands did not necessitate the use of boats or non-natural rafts. He writes, for their purpose, natural rafts were already available to Homo erectus. Exactly how these involuntary voyages occurred is unclear, although anecdotal accounts of natural rafting events and pertinent modeling suggest that tsunamis and cyclones may have played a role. Overall, then, the study author concludes that there simply isn't enough evidence to prove that the species intentionally built boats and sailed to either Flores or Crete using this so-called seafaring inference. As a basis for H. erectus language is therefore highly flawed, although that doesn't mean the ancient lineage definitely lacked linguistic skills. Indeed, other researchers have pointed to the collaborative scavenging tactics employed by H. erectus as evidence for use of language, while others say that the hominid's ability to create asymmetrical tools combined with a large brain size may indicate that it was intelligent enough to talk. And then it talks about that. A study was published in Cambridge Archaeological Journal. Got that right here. Did Homo erectus have language? The seafaring inference. Going over what we just talked about. But yeah, it's all here if you wanted to look at it. So it's still inconclusive on whether or not Homo erectus spoke, or indeed whether they were able to build boats for that matter. But if they did, that'd be really interesting and push some notions about human development back some few 100,000 years. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little episode of Paleo Peak, and thank you so much for joining me for the show. Be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. And to my live from the Hive audience, thank you so much for sticking with me. I'm again, like I said, I'm not really feeling it today, and it's kind of, but I'm trying. I did have some great topics. We had the giant owls or owl men for CryptoCorner, and then this falconry birds came back up in the falconry section. Then we had Hans Wormhat with his pandas are fake, and wrapping this up with some Homo erectus. So it's been a fun ride this morning. I really appreciate everybody for sticking with me. And if if you have any other questions or anything down below, you leave your little notation. I will respond. Oh, I'm yawning. Oh, you leave me a note and I will respond to you. Don't forget to hit the little thumbs up button. That really does help. And the thumbs up, comments are great. Any kind of interaction you can give me on any of the stuff. Let me know the stuff that you like by thumbs up in it. Let me know the stuff you don't like by not thumbs up in it. I'm not gonna waste my time making productions that nobody's gonna watch. I'd rather produce stuff that people enjoy. So you can help me do that by telling me what you like by using the ups and downs. Anyway, this will be my final. Be kind, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Evolution.
This will be my final. Be kind, take care, and
how can you not believe in evolution?
Yeah, tell them that you believe in evolution. Evolution.
Evolution.
Evolution. Yeah, tell them that you believe in evolution.
Evolution.
You're not going to get us to not believe in evolution.